So these are my favorite videos to do because I always get them wrong and people like to have a go at me in the comments, but I don't care because I am the Progress Proteus champion every video. People are going, are you going to do every video? I'm going to make it very clear now. We're going to make it on every video because I've been wrestling for like 8 years and finally someone gave me a title and I'm very, very happy about it. But yes, today we're going to go through every single WWE champion as of November 2024 and I'm going to predict who relieves them of their belt. And we're going to start with the women's tag team champions. Now, for a while, I thought it was going to be Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, and I actually think it still could be, but I don't think that actually benefits anyone. I don't think we achieve anything, and I basically think it's like the snake that eats himself. What's that called? An Ouroboros. We're just going to end up in the same place. Now, you could actually tie into Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair baking up, because it is Liv Morgan who has planted those seeds, and if you were going to ask me for a WrestleMania 41 prediction, we did this video. Hopefully it pops up on the screen. I would say we're absolutely going to get Jade versus Bianca, and it's going to be pretty good. I think Bianca should be the babyface. I think Jade should be the heel, and it doesn't really matter who wins, but in 2025, we have to get Bianca Belair back into the title singles scene because she's just too good. She's one of the best performers that WWE has, and she's not languishing in a tag team. I actually think she's helped those championships and Jade Cargill a lot, but when you have that much talent, you should be front and center. Anyway, that's not the point. I'm going to make an out-of-nowhere prediction because I think we should give it to Lash legend and Jakara Jackson. Now, the rumors are the metaphor have been called up from NXT properly, and if that is the case, let's not stand on ceremony, Mr. Wayne. Let's get stuff done. We did this with someone recently, the Motor City Machine Guns, and that worked wonderfully. My favorite thing about the women's tag belts at the moment is they're actually being featured. I don't know why I have such a big bugbear about this, but I do. I think it's because they can be utilized in a far better way, and over the last few months, I think we've achieved that because, again, 2 stars at the moment have them. But if you're able to keep that allure going on, and you give it to Lash and Jakara, I actually think they've done all right since they've come to the main roster. I'm not going to pretend it's the greatest debut I've ever seen, but when you remember where they've come from and the fact the Lash Legends had like 67 matches total, or was that Jakara Jackson? The point is, if you want to use the term green, they are both still pretty green, but they are able to make themselves work. Does that make sense? Probably not. And obviously the rest of the team have to come back too. Like if Noam Dar's been called up, he's still getting over a knee injury. And if he does too, what a wild ride for that guy. Different video for a different day. But we're going to start here. So as I've got it written down, Jade and Bianca will lose to Lash and Jakara, which moves us on to the United States Championship. Now this one is way hard, right? Because I'm going to do something later on that is probably not going to make any sense. But with the big old Netflix switcheroo coming on, I think, some people are going to Raw and some people are going to go to SmackDown, which is why I'm basically trying to manifest as I look down at my notes. I'm going to hope that Carmelo Hayes is still somehow the guy to take it off LA Knight. Now listen, I love LA Knight. I'm glad he's got his due. I love Andrade. But someone that needs this and someone that has been hitting home runs all year is Carmelo Hayes. And he's another guy that, he's been up from NXT around about 6 to 8 months. But I just think that he has managed to find his way on SmackDown with pretty much, he's just a star, right? He just, even though he's not the biggest guy in the world, he's not small, but, compared to some huge dudes. Like, for example, who's massive? When Obafemi comes up, he's probably going to be going for the World Championship. That's just how WWE works. Carmelo Hayes could get there, but have to find a different path. And I just think if you make him the United States champion, which right now is a belt that's in the ascendancy again, thank goodness for that, because when you have good mid-card belts, it makes the whole show and the whole roster better. I think it would do the world of good for him. So you can either do it in 2025 or you can do it towards the end of this year, one of the big shows that we've got left, be that Saturday Night's Main Event or the Netflix premiere in 2025 in January. But this could be more of a personal one. And you're probably going, Simon, what about Jacob Fatu? I put him somewhere else, okay? Jacob Fatu should get a belt. But I just want to get behind and support Carmelo Hayes. And because he's a proper dastardly heel, like he is, he'll do whatever to win. He doesn't give a damn. You can get that belt off LA Knight, and LA Knight will be totally protected. But of course, everything that happened at Crown Jewel makes me second guess myself. But again, I still think Crown Jewel was a pay-per-view that was sort of in the way. And I don't think that Triple H and the rest of the team necessarily wanted to put all their eggs into that basket. So anything we did do there is ultimately going to be ignored. We weren't even allowed to take the eyesore belts home. So yes, once again, when we start talking about the United States title off LA Knight, onto the shoulder, around the waist, you choose, of Carmelo Hayes. Shift over to the SmackDown's Tag Team Championships, because I forget which way it goes round. One is the WWE. What is the world? And obviously the Motor City Machine Guns have them at the moment, which is the most wonderful thing ever. And I really hope they hold them for at least sort of 3 to 4 months. But make sure they're in proper feuds as well, because 2024 has not been good for the men's tag team scene. I think we can all agree with that, mostly because usually what happens to the women's titles is they would vanish. And this year it's happened with the men's titles. I think it's going to go back to the bloodline. And I think it's going to be the Usos, right? Now, it actually could also be the Bloodline 2.0. I think the Tongans could win them back. So actually, I'm going to do it that way. The Tongans will win them back, Tanga Loa and Tama Tonga. And I think eventually those two going into WrestleMania are going to feud with the Usos. Now, this is a very, very, not worrying situation. We're looking for a delicate situation because we do not want to take Jey Uso out of that single scene. We do not. He's selling more merchandise than Roman Reigns and CM Punk was one of the rumors. But at the same time, when you think about WrestleMania and the amount of people that could be in matches, I actually think it's going to be difficult for them to come up with a feud, whereas you have to end the Bloodline saga, I would guess, at WrestleMania 41. Who else is going to do this, given the teams? You could do Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, but I think Sami Zayn will have a different role. So, I mean, I'm not sure it's going to go that long, but it's difficult as well because then the Motor City Machine Guns get lost. But anyway, that's not the point here. We're not fantasy booking. I think Tama Tonga and Tanga Loa, probably through, terrible means, and maybe because the Usos accidentally screw them over, even though they didn't mean to, they come out to help, will win those belts, and then we'll do a big old feud again. Roman will be doing stuff, and Jacob will be doing stuff, and then Jimmy and Jey Uso win them back at WrestleMania 41 on night 1 or night 2, and it will be a lovely moment, because of course they're back together, and at WrestleMania 40 they were fighting each other, but now they're a partnership again. But I don't think they can hold them as long as they want. We just need to figure out how we're going to book this. Jey Uso is the most unique wrestler we've had in a while, because you can put him anywhere you want, and he's going to do a damn good job. Some people say he's not very good as a singles wrestler. I say kiss my tush, he's flipping brilliant, and I want to be his friend. But that's what I think. And in that way, too, the Bloodline, WWE still loves doing this, even though they're far better at it. If the Motor City Machine Guns do lose them back to the Bloodline, you've created that awful 50-50 parity. But when it comes to the tag team scene, I think WWE is going to do it. So once again, just to draw a line under it, the Machine Guns lose it to the people they won it from in the first place. And we'll move on to the men's Raw tag team titles as well. I mean, this may have already happened by the time this video goes live, because I think this match is going to go down pretty soon. You've got to give it to the War Raiders and take it off Finn Balor and JD McDonough. Now, again, all the love to the Judgment Day. Had a terrific 2024, but I think they've defended them once, maybe twice, since they've won them. It's not their fault. They only do what they get told. But if the Viking Raiders have become the War Raiders, which they have done, and they are kind of running through teams, I don't see why you wouldn't go all the way with them, because that's the best way to justify the fact that they have come back as, oh my gosh, we're so strong and we're so beefy. And they can lose, but then what have you achieved? I don't think that Finn Balor and JD McDonough losing these titles at the moment is going to affect them that much, whereas the War Raiders could actually be a super dominant team, and that's what I would like to see. I'm throwing these belts around a lot, obviously, in a short space of time. Whereas Eric and Ivar, I mean, maybe you could hold it to WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble or one of the other shows we've talked about. They could hold it all the way to SummerSlam. They could hold it all the way to Survivor Series. Maybe you can do what we did with Gunther and give them a proper year reign where they have fights with everybody, because then that way those titles are going to feel more exciting. But if they do lose, what do they do next? That's the other thing. We're not going to put them in singles competition, even though when the other guy's been injured, both Eric and Ivar have proven they can go. But they're also coming back from very serious injuries. I think they both commented that from now on, they are going to be more of a less is more tag team or singles wrestlers, whatever you want to call it, which is good, because health and happiness is the most important. And I would rather they had longevity than do like a 630 corkscrew, and that will make me go, oh my gosh, it's amazing because you're so big. Screw that. Flub that. Just be big men slapping man meat. We all remember what you did in the past, especially those New Japan matches and NXT, basically. I still remember the one with Ricochet and Malachi Black or Alistair. Fantastic. But we know you have that in your locker. Now let's be preventative. So, yeah, whenever we're doing this match, because it has already been set up because they won the number 1 contenders match, pull the trigger on the War Raiders. They finally got war back in their name. So Judgment Day lose it, and it goes to the former Vikings. And another one that may be changing hands soon is the Women's Championship, the SmackDown one. Okay, I know, I'm an idiot. It's annoying. You can get mad at me in the comments. Please do. Engagement is great. And subscribe. Why not? But I would just go nuts with it. Rhea Ripley is out injured, which sucks. I feel sorry for her. Not that she needs my sympathy, but I send all the best. And I would have Io Sky beat Liv Morgan. Just would. And you can tie it into everything with Nia Jax if you wanted, or a Tiffany Stratton, or Raquel Rodriguez could absolutely screw her over if you want to do that too. I think Liv Morgan is in a very, very good position right now, where she was probably going to lose it to Rhea Ripley eventually anyway. Don't think you need to elongate the title reign, because whatever story beats we have in plan are still going to be there. So let's heat up Io Sky, who has gone babyface, and people are so behind her. And now that she is a good guy, man, she is getting to work like a badass. And someone the other day said she's probably the best women's worker in North America, as I do weird things with my eyes. And I think that's probably true. It depends, right? Sometimes I do a video on this too, maybe. I get annoyed when people say that because it all depends on the style you want that day. So technically anyone could be the best women's wrestler in the world, but she's right up there, right? She's a super talent. So I don't see, once again, the benefit of her losing. I think there are ways out for Liv Morgan. I think it massively helps Io Sky. So just do it in a match. Do it Survivor Series, do it again, Saturday's main event, or maybe the first Netflix, right, which we're going to turn into a mini pay-per-view. And what a great way to start 2025. And then it starts this cool little feud that those two can have. I think it would be really, really fun. And again, everyone loves Io Sky. People really dislike Liv Morgan, given her character work. Dom can interfere and screw over, and then we can break those two up, because I really would like Dominic Mysterio to win a championship in 2025, and I think he probably needs to be a lone wolf to do that. And it all depends on what we're going to do with Raquel. She's in a very strange position at the moment, but again, all the best to her. I hope she finds her pathway. But yes, Liv loses it to the one and only Io Sky. Right, moving on to the Intercontinental title, and obviously this would be a 2025 thing. But WWE was well aware that when Bron Breakker looked at Jacob Fatu and Jacob Fatu looked at Bron Breakker, they got a big old response. Now, you can hold this off, of course you can. They're both still very new talents. But I'm also a fan of striking when the iron is hot. And we don't know whether the fans will not lose interest in this. But if they're going to make that much noise now, that to me is what wrestling is all about. If people do a big old reaction, you should cater to that and you should lean on that. I don't know what we're going to do with Roman Reigns moving into WrestleMania 41. But I cannot believe he's going to be taking on Jacob Fatu in a non-main event match. I just cannot see it, given how many shows he has main evented. I think, I don't want to say more high profile, because that's disrespectful to Jacob Fatu. I just got this feeling on my bald head that maybe when we get to the show of shows, we do Jacob versus Bron, and we just get in there, nice and deep like, and we get this thing done. And I would have Jacob win. I just think that'd be such a good match. And we can Gunther this thing. Treat it like a sport. Treat it like two ham hocks and two up-and-comers just smashing heads. And Jacob can win here. Then do it again and have Bron win. Then do it again and have Jacob win. Hot potato, that damn thing. Gunther held it for 666 days, whatever it was. We still remember that. And while we kind of did that with Bron and Sammy, I just think there's a forever feud that we can plant the seeds with here. I'm not saying it's going to be like a Rock or a Ross to that level anyway, but they certainly can be bedfellows for one another for the next 5-10 years, should they want to go that long. And I think that would be fantastic. So, I mean, it could be Sheamus too, which would also make me damn happy in my tum-tum, because, of course, that's finishing his story, because he's never won that belt. But I want to be a little bit more grand here with my predictions, which is why I always get them wrong. But I think we should give it to Jacob Fatu. So I've said it now, and there's no going back. I can't lose here, because Bron Breakker is awesome, and Jacob Fatu is awesome. And hey, even if it is Sheamus, which is my option B, I'm just having a good old time. And I just realized I said the SmackDown's belt earlier. I talked about the Raw one. I meant the SmackDown Raw Women's title. I can't even talk, right? The SmackDown Women's title is what we're going to talk about now. And we'll keep this one nice and simple, because I've totally screwed it up. I'll make sure I put some text on the screen so you can still get mad in the comments. But yeah, Tiffany Stratton should cash in and beat Nia Jax. You don't put all this effort in and then not do it. Doesn't even matter how long she holds that championship. But it seems like we've tested the waters with her as a babyface. People seem to like her. She's obviously, got way better. But she was good anyway. But that first main roster match, I don't call it shaky. She's just improved since then, which is awesome. But she should cash in and she should win. And then that way, even though Drew McIntyre cashed in on the night of Money in the Bank, we're still reminding us all. I think as well, Tiffany Stratton has now held that briefcase longer than anyone. That could be incorrect, but she's up there, top 1 or top 2. So let her cash it in, let it be successful, get the message out there that nobody is safe. You can protect Nia with that too, because she can be having a match with Naomi or Bayley or whoever it may be. And maybe that's how you then go back to the Naomi-Tiffany Stratton feud. Maybe Naomi is about to win, because we are headed in that direction. Tiffany Stratton takes advantage and Naomi can be like, you son of a gun. Maybe she even turns heel Naomi. Maybe she turns on Bayley and we can do that. I do not know. I mean, that's a little bit over the top, a little bit out of nowhere. But Naomi could beat Nia Jax, then you do it that way. But I would just go Nia Jax to Tiffany Stratton, because then it ties into the relationship that we've been telling since August, September, June, July, May, don't know what it is, but it's been a long old time. And has been, I don't want to call it a standout of 2024, but it has been discussed a lot. So not much else to say about that one. Just give it to Tiffany Stratton. Sorry, Nia, but you've had a great year. When we get to our 2 men's world championships, we'll start with the World Heavyweight Championship, and this is difficult. I don't know how this is going to happen. I don't know. Don't get mad at me. I think CM Punk is somehow going to win it. Now, of course, as of me talking to you, Damian Priest just won the #1 contender match on Raw. But what did they say in the social media clips at one point in the future? Undetermined date. So clearly something else happening at Survivor Series. I don't even think necessarily that CM Punk is going to win at Survivor Series. I think if we do something with Gunther, it'll be a 2 or 3 match program. But I do think at WrestleMania 41, it's going to be CM Punk versus Seth Rollins for that world title. That's what WWE wants to do this year. They weren't able to because of the injuries. So let's just do it again. People want to see that match. You have to get that match done, the Cody match done, the Roman match done. There'll be other ones I'm not thinking about. So even if you did Gunther versus Damian Priest on Saturday night's main event, I don't want Damian to lose, but he can do. He's established himself this year, so he'll be fine. Maybe go to the Royal Rumble. That's why Punk's not on the Rumble. But I'm going to go with CM Punk to be the guy to defeat Gunther, which kind of is difficult because you can also do the John Cena thing. And you could do John Cena loses to Gunther at WrestleMania 17, then works his way back, WrestleMania 41, trying for his 17th title. And then you get all the way to December and John Cena finally defeats Gunther. But I cannot see a world where CM Punk takes on Gunther and doesn't win that title. CM Punk is a super duper whooper megastar. And I think sometimes you just got to do the right thing. Although I don't really want to take off Gunther either. That's why the main event scene is so great right now. But I did have to come up with a name. And given that CM Punk has teased it, I'm going with it. But that would also mean if you did do Gunther versus Cena at WrestleMania, it wouldn't be for a belt. Maybe we don't do that. Maybe we save it off for SummerSlam. We don't try and draw it out as much as we don't need to do. Maybe WrestleMania is too close if he's only coming back in January. It would only give him a 3 months. But there's no going back now. I've said it. And CM Punk should be the guy to take the belt off Gunther. When we get to Cody Rhodes, now, it could be Randy Orton. And I would like it to be Randy Orton. But when I ponder this at night, because I'm a weird nerd, and I stare off into the distance, and I remember that Cody is going to be feuding with The Rock, I think, even if it's before WrestleMania, I think at some point The Rock is going to be the WWE champion. And if you are going to do that, and he is going to be involved in WrestleMania 41, well, it's got to be pretty soon. And I can't see Cody losing it and winning it back and then losing it again. I'm going with The Rock. And this is a little bit mad. And it's a little bit over the top, and you're allowed to be frustrated by this. I'd be frustrated too. I'd be like, what a bald idiot. Why are you saying these things? It's just a feeling that I've got. I mean, maybe the People's Championship that he's got is the way to circumvent that, and we don't need to do it. If he doesn't win the WWE title, I think The Rock is definitely winning the Royal Rumble. I think The Rock in 2025 is walking away with a major prize one way or another to justify his final boss character. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. I'd have to see it play out in real time. And if it does mean we get to WrestleMania 41 and Cody wins it back, don't have a problem with it. I actually think that would be a big moment. And there's lots of people you can put in this position. I mean, maybe a Roman Reigns. Do not think that at all. But I could certainly understand the argument. And again, maybe Cody does hold it through WrestleMania season, and we either give it to Randy Orton afterwards, or maybe we pull the trigger on that earlier, because again, we still got a lot of time to go. And Randy Orton is the guy that wins it, and then Cody wins it back before he starts whatever he's going to do at WrestleMania with The Rock and Roman Reigns. Maybe it's Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, but if that's the case, I don't think Cody would lose it back. Unless he wins it because Randy Orton is the champion. I don't know. But I've gone with The Rock. I've said The Rock. It's just this strange feeling. I can't get out of my Tootsie Toes. So basically, this is a Hail Mary. If I am right, I'm going to be a smug panda. Now, of course, more importantly than all of this is I want to know your predictions for all of these championships. So drop me a comment below who is going to take this title off the current title holder. When you are down there, make sure you check out all the links in the description and like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen. If you are into fitness as well, it is grillermind.com/Simon. Use code Simon to get 10% off, but sometimes there's more. And yes, January 2025, the Simon Miller Fitness channel begins. It'll be a brand new channel. Apologies to when I did change all this to wrestling. I didn't think anybody cared. I made a mistake, and we can only learn from this stuff, so keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, go to Agogo Fitness. Use code Simon20 if you would like to train at home with Anthony Agogo, who is an Olympic boxer and wrestler, not the worst thing in the world. Patreon.com/Simon316 to support me that way. Simon316 on social media. Simon Miller over at Pro Wrestling Tees. New t-shirts going up all of the time, especially the Wrestlers Commit Crimes top, which is one of my favorites. Simon Miller on TikTok. Simon Mate, other way around. Simon on Cameo. Simon J. Miller on TikTok. And I will leave you there. I have kept you long enough, my friends, but I love you. And let's get into some predicting.